Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Maroon Devil Coaches Show with head coach Sherman Holt right here on the Maroon Devils Network. And, Coach, we talked about this last week, that we were playing probably the most dangerous team on our schedule, with all apologies to all the other teams who are always tough. But what a win. I don't think anybody in Western North Carolina, all the so-called experts, gave our guys a chance to beat a very good Mountain Heritage team. But what a great job by you, your assistants, the players, the fans. Man, everybody just stepped up and got it done.
Yeah, really proud of our players. They played with tremendous effort, and I told them after the game, I said, guys, whatever you got right here in your soul, that's what matters, and that's what won you this game. And so it was one of those things where, again, we faced adversity at different times during the game, but our kids, man, they just never quit believing and trusting the process. And in those crucial moments, we made plays that we had to have. And so just so proud of our kids and their effort and just the determination not to quit and their will to win.
Yeah. Obviously, the big play of the night, there were several that we'll talk about. But, of course, John Stevenson, somebody said, hey, we're looking for a new Swain County Commission chairman. And John might get some votes on that, because he's a pretty popular guy right now with that 28-yard field goal that actually won the game in all respects. But there were so many parts of it besides that, Coach. But obviously a huge field goal by John and a great job.
Yeah, I seen some comments that he was going to run for mayor and stuff like that, and he probably get to vote right now. But anyways, just I hound them about when the phone rings, answer it. When we've got the answer, we've got to step up and make plays. And it was just his time Friday night to step in there and make a big kick. And a lot of people, they might have questioned it, when we sent them out there, but we had a lot of faith in our guys. And John, he's worked really hard the last couple of weeks to kind of be that guy for us in the kicking game, because how important it is. And so, hats off to John, and commend him for what he's done work ethic wise in practice, and even getting extra kicks before and after practice. So, just stepping up when your number's called, making a play. Like you said, there's a lot of times in that game where guys made plays. It don't just come down to one. I mentioned to Charlie Metcalf on the Wise Guys yesterday that a lot of people they watch the field goal, the interception to seal the game, the fourth down stop to get us on the last drive. Nobody's mentioned Mountain Heritage scores their first touchdown 5 minutes into the ball game, and we hold them out on 2-point conversion. And that's the difference in the ball game, point-wise, So we'd been on our kids for 2 weeks in a row now just to play better in crucial moments, because you don't know what moment it's going to be, whether it's in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. So big play 5 minutes into that ball game. We let them score, and, our defense, we kind of had to change a couple of things. We made a few adjustments, but on that 2-point play, holding them out, that's the difference in the game. We win by 2. So people don't, I'm not saying they forget, but they always want to look at the last second heroics, but 5 minutes into the game, we had a big play that ended up being the difference in the outcome. And so that was huge for us. And, our kids, man, they never quit. And, we give up a second score just probably 30 seconds into the second quarter.
Right.
And then we don't let them score the rest of the game. So we basically hold them scoreless for 3 quarters. And if, there's not many people that wasn't wearing a maroon jersey or a headset Friday night on that sideline over there that thought that we were going to keep them scoreless for 3 quarters. So, our kids, they had a real good week of practice, and not that we were playing with a chip on our shoulder, but we knew for 2 weeks we'd kind of done some things that had cost us, and not taking nothing away from our previous opponents. They won, they played, but we thought if we can handle a couple of things a little differently, we're going to be okay, and we got a shot at this thing. And so our kids had a good week of practice. They believed in each other. They believed in the plan and what we had, and they just played their guts out. I mean, you talk about leaving it all on the field. Our kids, man, they played tremendously with a lot of heart, a lot of effort, and just that Swain County pride and enthusiasm. It was one of those things where Friday night was a testament to what it is and what it has to be when you're from Swain County and playing football. So proud of our guys in that regard too.
Yeah. Coach, you hit the nail on the head. I was just going to talk about that because that really looked like, especially for folks who have been around the program a long time, that really looked like Maroon Devil football because there was such a great effort. I've got to ask you, I know a solid second half defensively. We talked about, as you mentioned, some great plays with the field goal and stopping them on the 2-point conversion, but not allowing their offense to score in the second half. What adjustments, if any, did you make at halftime to keep one of the best offenses in the mountains off the scoreboard?
So really, we actually made the adjustment after the first score because they, hats off to Mountain Heritage. They come out and they did exactly what we thought they were going to do, and we felt like we could play it one way, but we had another way we could play to. You got to have something in the bag in case it don't work. Everything looks good on the whiteboard until you kick off. But anyways, so once they scored first and they kind of just went down the field and they scored, and we said, all right, we can't play that. We're going to do this. And really on their second score, it was frustrating for us because our guys thought he was down, which he wasn't. Officials made a great call. Kid didn't go down. We kind of stopped on the play, so that was a hard coaching moment and film for our guys on Monday. Because if you don't hear the whistle, you don't stop. But we made that adjustment, before halftime, and then at halftime I told them, I said, guys, here's the deal. We've been here. We've been in tight ball games. We're going to get the ball in the second half. We can go down, we can score. And I said, defensively, guys, if we can pitch a shutout in the second half, I said, we'll win this ball game. Yeah. And and our guys was kind of bend but don't break. That's kind of what we told them. I said, we can bend but we can't break. And I told Coach White yesterday at practice, we were talking about it, and I said, if you give them 99 yards, that's okay as long as you don't give them 100. As long as you don't give them that last one. So our kids done a real good job of just accepting that challenge.
Yeah. And Coach, I know that really kind of comes into practice too. When you have a big win like that, I'm sure the guys come in on Monday and there's just an extra feeling of confidence and, hey, that we're doing the right thing here.
Yeah, coming out of our non-conference slate 2-2, we feel pretty good how we're playing, and we feel like we can make a run at this thing in the SMC. And so for our guys, just that confidence, because we had two really kind of heartbreaking weeks, close game. Week 2 at Pisgah, we didn't win, failed on a 2-point conversion. And then Franklin, kind of let that thing slip away at the end, and so we felt like, golly, we're right there if we can just get over the hump. Yeah. And what a hump to get over with Mountain Heritage because they're a really good football team. But our kids, man, they never wavered. They never lost faith. We score to make it 14-13, and they get a penalty, so they move it half a distance. And I'm thinking, all right, 1.5 yards, we're going to go for 2. We're going to win this thing now. And we had a bad snap, so a lot of people coming off, they could have said, golly, there it was, we lost.
Yeah.
We got about 5 minutes left to go. And so, but coming off, every one of our kids said, we're going to go get the football right here, and we're going to go score again. And by golly, 4 plays later, we stop them on a 4th down, and we do what we need to do to get us some field goal range and kick a winner right there with about a minute left. So it was just our kids; they just never wavered on their belief of each other, and that's what's good about this group. They care about each other. They love each other. They push each other hard, but they play for each other, and that goes a long ways on Friday nights. Is you can make up for a lot of stuff if you're just willing to play hard for one another and trust each other. And so that's what's special about this group is it's a real tight-knit, brotherhood, family type atmosphere in that locker room, and so that's going to help us down the road too.
No doubt. Fans, it was a great win for the Maroon Devils, one of the best wins in quite a while, actually, to pull off a great win over a very good Mountain Heritage team. But as Coach mentioned, hey, coming up, it's Smoky Mountain Conference time. We're going to come back and talk about the Andrews Wildcats when we continue right after this.
Become a member of MDN Live. For the low price of $5.99 per month, you will have access to all live broadcasts of Maroon Devil athletics. All proceeds from this subscription service will go directly towards Swain Athletics to help offset the growing cost of providing multiple sporting opportunities for our student athletes. The monthly subscription is only $5.99 per month, giving members access to all live broadcasts within the month. This membership will have an option for automatic renewal, which can be canceled at any time. Our hope is that patrons will let their monthly subscriptions continue throughout the year, providing Swain High School athletics with a greatly needed source of funding year-round and give you access to all the great sports action throughout the year. So for less than the cost of a kid's meal at your favorite fast food joint, you'll be providing critical support to our student athletes each month while enjoying countless hours of Swain County Athletics Live. It's truly a win-win situation. Become a member today and do your part to help keep Swain County Athletics the best it can be.
Welcome back. It's Smoky Mountain Conference time. And, Coach, everybody talks about trap games, and this could be one of those situations, and I hate to use that term, but you go from such a high of a big upset over Mountain Heritage. Now you're in conference play, and I know the Andrews Wildcats are struggling somewhat. They're trying to get better every week like every team in the Smoky Mountain Conference, but we're at a point where we can't overlook anybody once you start conference play, can you?
No, I think in our league, traditionally, you've always had to show up and play because any given Friday, any given team can beat you. And so, this week for us, it's refocus, reset, restart, 1 week at a time, and got homecoming week. So and not that that's not a great thing, but just a few more things that could be distractions if you allow them. And so talk to our kids, Monday at practice. And so it was one of those things that, hey, guys, we're going to have a lot going on this week. Don't let it get your mind or attention off of what it needs to be on. But Andrews, they are struggling a little bit, but they've gotten a little better each week. So and they've played some people that we have played. They played a Smoky Mountain team who I feel like in 3 or 4 weeks' time has gotten a lot better. And so for Andrews, it's one of those things. They've got a real athletic quarterback who they're going to try to use him to run and pass. And so it's one of those things where if we don't do what we should do and hold ourselves accountable of doing our jobs, quarterback can hurt us. And he's an athletic kid, big kid, so it's one of those things where, you know, you gotta kind of come off that high, like you said.
Yeah.
And we always tell them, hey, you celebrate it Friday to Monday, and that's it. You know, once Monday rolls around, we're reset and refocusing on our next opponent. And so it'll be a good challenge for our kids just to, you know, how we handle adversity. We preach about that all the time. Well, how do you handle success? Right. You know, and it's the same. It could be the same Achilles heel. You know, if you don't handle success well, guess what? It'll come back to bite you. And so our kids, you know, we got to just focus, have a great week of practice, get better, because, you know, we're still not where we want to be. Right. And not let a team that maybe is struggling and their win-loss record's not real good, but they've got some people that if you don't play well, they can hurt you.
Oh, no doubt. Coach, when we look back at just for a moment to the Mountain Heritage game, we talked about some of the heroes, of course, but, man, what a game for Zeke Glaspie. Over 200 yards rushing, big play after big play, and, man, I tell you what, Zeke likes that football in his hands, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, and we like it when it's in his hands. You know, I feel like, you know, week to week we try to how can we get him the football, you know, and we've been handing it to him a lot. You know, we've thrown it to him some, but, you know, I think every week in the game plan strategically, you know, we got to get him 15 to 20 carries or touches. Yeah. And that kid, I don't even think he has to have a step on people to outrun them, because that sucker's fast. Yes. And I told him, I said, if you see a crease, take it, because as fast as you are, that crease turns into a touchdown. And so, you know, this week our goal is to get him plenty of touches and, you know, keep him, you know, involved in the offense, and, you know, just still trying to work on some things. You know, week 5, you shouldn't be where you want to be eventually, but you should be getting close. You know, you should be getting real polished, and, you know, that was something that was proud of last week. You know, we played pretty clean in the penalty game. Didn't have things, you know, that stood out a lot, you know, but you know, Zeke's a special guy that, you know, we're going to get to football too, and you know, if he gets a step, he's gone, because he proved that Friday night, because Mountain Heritage had some really fast kids, and Zeke, they didn't catch him. So, but yeah, get him the football. That's I'll make sure Coach Brookshire knows that, and make sure he gets plenty of carries, because that kid's pretty good.
No doubt. Fans, homecoming, as Coach said, coming up. It's always great to talk Maroon Devil football. We appreciate all our sponsors for making the Coach's Show possible. And, hey, be sure and stay tuned. We've got Cody and the coach coming up, and it's going to be right here on the Maroon Devils. Join us next time, and thanks for watching.